Commander Eliza Warren stood on the bridge of the UES Valkyrie, her eyes fixed on the vast emptiness of space before her. The ship hummed with quiet energy as crew members worked at their stations. The Valkyrie was the pride of Earth's 7th Combat Fleet, a collection of 15 warships currently on a routine patrol mission in an uncharted sector of space. "Status report," she said, her voice calm but firm. Lieutenant Commander Jake Miller looked up from his tactical station. "All systems normal, Commander. We're maintaining formation with the rest of the fleet." Eliza nodded, brushing a strand of brown hair from her face. 25 years had passed since humans discovered faster-than-light travel. In that time, they had established colonies on 12 planets and made contact with 3 alien species. But those aliens had been small, isolated civilizations like humanity. The greater galactic community, if one existed, had never reached out. The doors to the bridge slid open, and Admiral Frank Donovan entered. He was an older man with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes, a veteran of the Mars Rebellion. "Commander Warren," he said with a nod. "Anything interesting?" "Just stars and silence, sir," Eliza replied. The Admiral was about to respond when an alert sounded from the sensor station. "Sir," called the young officer at the console, "I'm picking up unusual energy readings from Sector 7. Admiral Donovan moved to look over the officer's shoulder. "What kind of readings?" "Unknown, sir. But they're massive. Could be a natural phenomenon, but—" The officer hesitated. "The pattern seems artificial." Eliza joined them, studying the readings. "That's no pulsar or neutron star. The energy signature is too structured." The Admiral stroked his chin thoughtfully. "How far?" "About 3 light hours from our position, sir. Protocol dictated they should report back to Earth Command before investigating any unusual phenomena, especially one this significant. But Admiral Donovan had not earned his reputation by always following protocol. "Set a course, Commander Warren. Let's see what we've found." 6 hours later, the fleet dropped out of FTL travel near the source of the energy readings. What they saw left everyone on the bridge speechless. A massive structure floated in space before them. It resembled a giant wheel with spokes extending from a central hub, spanning nearly 10 kilometers across. The design was clearly artificial, yet unlike anything from Earth or the few alien cultures they had encountered. "My God," whispered Admiral Donovan. "What is it?" Dr. Samantha Powell, the fleet's lead xenobiologist and first contact specialist, had been called to the bridge. Her eyes were wide with wonder as she studied the structure. "It appears to be some kind of station," she said. "The design suggests it's meant to accommodate multiple species. See those different sections? They likely have various atmospheric conditions." "A space station? Out here in the middle of nowhere?" Eliza asked. Lieutenant Commander Miller spoke up from his station. "Commander, I'm detecting no active power signatures or life signs. It seems abandoned but not damaged." Admiral Donovan frowned. "Could it be a trap?" "I don't think so, sir," Miller replied. "But there's something else. The station has communication, arrays pointed in thousands of different directions, covering almost the entire galaxy. It's like a meeting place," Dr. Powell finished. "A neutral ground where different species could gather." Eliza felt a chill run down her spine. Why didn't we know about this? If it's a galactic meeting point, why has no one ever contacted Earth? The Admiral's expression hardened. "That's what we're going to find out. Commander Warren, prepare a boarding team. I want you to lead it personally. Dr. Powell will accompany you." "Yes, sir," Eliza replied. 2 hours later, Eliza led a team of 10 people, including Dr. Powell and Lieutenant Commander Miller, onto the station. They wore environmental suits as a precaution, though scans showed the atmosphere in this section was breathable. The interior was even more impressive than the exterior. High ceilings arched over what appeared to be a grand hall, with doorways sized for beings both smaller and much larger than humans. The walls were covered in symbols from dozens, perhaps hundreds of different languages. "This is incredible," Dr. Powell said, her voice filled with awe. "This confirms what many on Earth have theorized. There is a wider galactic community out there." Miller was examining a control panel near what appeared to be an information desk. The technology is advanced, but not incomprehensible. I can. He pressed a sequence of symbols and suddenly the entire station hummed to life. Lights flickered on throughout the hall, and holographic displays activated, showing star maps and what appeared to be schedules. "What did you do?" Eliza asked, moving quickly to his side. "I just turned it on," Miller said, looking surprised. "The interface is remarkably intuitive." A mechanical voice suddenly spoke, the words somehow understandable despite being in no human language. "Welcome to Nexus Point Alpha, gathering place of the Galactic Council. Please identify yourselves and your civilization." The team members looked at each other nervously. Eliza stepped forward. "I am Commander Eliza Warren of the United Earth ship Valkyrie, representing humanity and the United Earth government." There was a pause, then, "Error. Species human has no registered access to Nexus Point Alpha. Please verify identification." Dr. Powell moved to stand beside Eliza. "We are humans from the planet Earth Sol system, Orion arm of the Milky Way galaxy." Another pause, longer this time. "Species identification confirmed. Warning, species human is classified under quarantine. Protocol 7 Alpha. No invitation has been extended to this species. Alert has been dispatched to all council members." The words hung in the air. Quarantine protocol? No invitation? "Why are we under quarantine?" Eliza demanded. "We've done nothing wrong." The system did not respond to her question. Instead, more displays activated around the hall, showing approaching vessels, dozens of them from directions all across the galaxy. Eliza tapped her communicator. "Admiral Donovan, we have a situation. The station has activated some kind of alert system. It says humans are under something called Quarantine Protocol 7 Alpha and was never invited here." The Admiral's voice came through clearly. "Get back to the ship now, Commander. Long-range sensors are detecting multiple vessels entering this sector. It seems we've crashed a party we weren't invited to." As they rushed back to their shuttle, Miller accessed more of the station's data. "Commander, according to this, representatives from over 50 different civilizations meet here regularly. Earth is specifically excluded, listed as evolutionarily unstable and too unpredictable for integration." Eliza felt anger rising within her. They've been watching us? Judging us? Who gave them that right? Back aboard the Valkyrie, Admiral Donovan had the fleet form a defensive position. The first alien ships were already arriving, their designs strange and varied. "Well," said the Admiral, his voice grim but with a hint of anticipation, "it seems humanity is about to make its galactic debut, whether they want us to or not." Eliza looked at the growing number of alien vessels on the display and then at the determined faces of her crew. Humans had never backed down from a challenge before. They wouldn't start now. "Ready all systems," she ordered. "Let's show the galaxy what humanity can do." The bridge of the UES Valkyrie buzzed with tense energy as more alien ships arrived. Admiral Donovan stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the main screen with steady eyes. 15 human warships now faced a growing collection of alien vessels of various shapes and sizes. 47 foreign ships and counting, reported Lieutenant Commander Miller from his tactical station. "No aggressive postures yet, but they're positioning to surround us." Commander Eliza Warren studied the alien vessels. Some were sleek and small, while others were massive and bulky. All looked more advanced than anything humans had built. "Admiral," she said, "we should contact Earth. They need to know what we've found." Admiral Donovan nodded. "Send a priority message and tell them to send Ambassador Hale. If this is a diplomatic situation, we need a diplomat." 3 hours later, the alien ships maintained their distance. Some had attempted communication, but the universal translator struggled with their languages. The tension on the bridge eased slightly when a small, fast ship dropped out of FTL nearby. "It's one of ours," Miller confirmed. "The UES Swift Messenger. Ambassador." William Hale arrived on the Valkyrie looking tired but alert. He was a tall man with a calm demeanor that had served Earth well in first contact situations. "Admiral Donovan," he said as he stepped onto the bridge. "I came as quickly as possible. What's the situation?" After a brief explanation, the ambassador looked troubled. "A galactic community that deliberately excluded humanity? This changes everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe." A new alert sounded. "Admiral," called Captain Gloria Martinez from the UES Defiant via video link. "One of the alien vessels is approaching. It's broadcasting what appears to be a request to dock." "Permission granted," said the Admiral after a moment's consideration. "Commander Warren, take Ambassador Hale to meet our guests. Full security detail." The alien that stepped onto the Valkyrie was unlike any species humans had encountered before. It stood on 4 legs with an upper body that split into 2 torsos, each with a pair of slender arms. Its skin was pale blue with delicate patterns that seemed to shift with its movements. "I am Neelix of the Tellurian Merchant Guild," it said, the translator finally working correctly. "I apologize for the confusion. Your arrival has caused quite a stir." Ambassador Hale stepped forward. "I am Ambassador William Hale of Earth. We came here by accident, but we would like to understand why humanity has been excluded from this galactic community." Neelix's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "It is complicated. Not everyone agrees with the quarantine protocol, but the decision was made long ago. The Galactic Council is now gathering for an emergency session. Your presence must be addressed." "We would like to attend this session," Hale said firmly. Neelix hesitated. "That would be unprecedented, but perhaps necessary under the circumstances. I will arrange it." As Neelix returned to his ship, another alien vessel approached. This one was darker, with sharp angles and what were clearly weapon ports along its hull. "That doesn't look friendly," Eliza said quietly to Miller. The new ship sent a communication directly to the Valkyrie. The being that appeared on screen had a reptilian appearance with golden scales and vertical pupils. "I am Zarkesh of the Vanthi Imperium," it said, its voice carrying a hint of a hiss. "Your presence here violates ancient agreements. You will power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted from this sector." Admiral Donovan stepped forward. "This is Admiral Frank Donovan of Earth's 7th Combat Fleet. We came here in peace and will leave in peace, but only after we have a chance to speak with the Galactic Council." Zarkesh's eyes narrowed. "Humans have no right to address the Council. You were quarantined for good reason. Your species evolves too quickly, thinks too unpredictably, and has too much potential for violence." "You fear us," Eliza said suddenly, stepping into view. "You've never even met us, but you fear what we might become." The alien leader's scales darkened slightly. "Fear is a rational response to danger, Commander Warren. History has shown that species like yours bring only chaos. You will leave or we will remove you." The transmission ended abruptly. "I think we made a new friend," Miller said dryly. While the fleet remained on high alert, Eliza led a small team back to the station with Ambassador Hale. Neelix met them and guided them through vast corridors filled with aliens of all descriptions. Some stared at the humans with obvious curiosity, others with visible discomfort. They entered a massive chamber shaped like an amphitheater. Hundreds of alien representatives were seated in sections, each designed for different physiologies. In the center was a raised platform where 7 diverse beings sat in a semicircle. "The Galactic Council," Neelix explained quietly. "Representatives of the 7 founding species." As the humans entered, a hush fell over the chamber. Zarkesh was already there, speaking heatedly with one of the council members. An elderly alien with translucent skin stood from the council table. "I am Counselor Trellix. We have never had humans in these chambers before. This is irregular." Ambassador Hale stepped forward. "We apologize for the unexpected nature of our arrival, but now that we are here, we seek understanding. Why has Earth been kept in isolation? What is this quarantine protocol?" Trellix gestured to a central display, which showed an image of Earth. "Your planet has been observed for centuries. Your species evolves rapidly, adapts quickly, and has a unique propensity for both violence and cooperation. This combination was deemed potentially dangerous to galactic stability. So you decided to keep us in the dark? Eliza asked, unable to hide her anger. To make decisions about our future without our knowledge or consent? Murmurs spread through the chamber. Zarkesh stepped forward. This is precisely why humans were quarantined. They question and challenge even when they should listen and learn. Ambassador Hale raised his hand for calm. We have a right to determine our own destiny. Now that we are here, we request formal recognition and the lifting of any quarantine protocols against Earth. The chamber erupted in voices, some supporting, others opposing. Councillor Trellix called for order. This matter requires careful consideration. The Council will deliberate and render a decision. Until then, the human fleet may remain at the station but must not attempt to contact any homeworlds or colonies. As they left the chamber, Eliza noticed Lieutenant Miller deep in conversation with Neelix, their heads close together. When they returned to the Valkyrie, Miller pulled Eliza and the Admiral aside. Sir, I've gained access to some restricted communications, he said quietly. The Vanthi aren't just opposed to our presence. They're planning to sabotage our fleet and make it look like an accident. Admiral Donovan's face hardened. They want us gone one way or another. What do we do? Eliza asked. The Admiral looked at the tactical display showing the positions of all ships around the station. We prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Put the fleet on high alert. If they want a demonstration of humanity's capabilities, we'll be ready to give them one. Admiral Donovan called an emergency meeting in the Valkyrie's secure conference room. Commander Warren, Lieutenant Commander Miller, Ambassador Hale, and Captain Gloria Martinez from the UES Defiant gathered around the table. The Admiral's face was grim as he pulled up a tactical display of the surrounding ships. The Vanthi have moved 3 warships into position here, here, and here, he said, pointing to locations around the human fleet. According to Miller's intelligence, they plan to strike within 6 hours. We should alert the Galactic Council, Ambassador Hale suggested. This kind of aggression must violate their protocols. Miller shook his head. The Vanthi are careful. They've positioned their attack as a security measure in case we become hostile. They've convinced several other species that we're a threat. Eliza studied the display. We're outnumbered and likely outgunned, but they don't know much about our capabilities either. The Admiral nodded. Exactly, and what they don't know might save us. He tapped a communication button. Chief Engineer Garcia, join us in the conference room. Alan Garcia arrived quickly. He was shorter than most of the officers but carried himself with confidence. His hands were stained with engine grease. You needed me, Admiral? He asked. Chief, I need to know what tricks we have up our sleeve if things go bad out there. Garcia grinned. Well, sir, human ships have something most alien vessels don't seem to have: redundancy. We build our systems with multiple backups because we expect things to go wrong. And our weapons? Eliza asked. Our railguns are primitive by their standards, but they pack a punch they might not expect. And our point defense systems were designed during the Mars Rebellion to track hundreds of targets simultaneously. The Admiral looked thoughtful. Martinez, what's the status of the experimental shield technology on the Defiant? Captain Martinez straightened in her chair. Ready for field testing, sir. It's not perfect, but it should absorb at least one direct hit from even their advanced weapons. Good. We're going to need every advantage. Admiral Donovan turned to Ambassador Hale. Keep talking to the Council, but don't expect help. We need to be ready to stand alone. 6 hours later, Eliza stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie, watching as the Vanthi ships adjusted their positions. More alien vessels had arrived, many staying at a distance, observers unwilling to take sides. Vanthi flagship is hailing us, Miller reported. On screen, ordered the Admiral. Zarkesh appeared, his golden scales gleaming under his ship's lights. Admiral Donovan, we have concluded that your presence poses an unacceptable risk to galactic security. You will power down your weapons and engines and prepare to be boarded. Your crews will undergo memory alteration before being returned to Earth space. Admiral Donovan's expression didn't change. That's not going to happen, Zarkesh. We came, in peace. But we will defend ourselves if necessary. Your primitive ships cannot hope to. A sudden flash of light interrupted the transmission. One of the human ships, the UES Sentinel, reported energy fluctuations across all systems. "They're using some kind of energy-dampening weapon," Miller called out. "The Sentinel's losing power." "They're testing us," Admiral Donovan said calmly. "Garcia, countermeasures." Chief Engineer Garcia's voice came over the comm. "Activating. Backup systems now, sir. Rerouting power through isolated circuits." On the screen, the Vanthi leader looked surprised as the Sentinel's lights flickered but then stabilized. "Your ships are more resilient than expected," Zarkesh said, "but resistance is pointless." More energy pulses struck the human fleet. 2 smaller ships lost main power, but their emergency systems kept them operational. The Valkyrie shuddered as it was hit directly. "Return fire," ordered Admiral Donovan. "Tactical pattern Delta." The human fleet responded with disciplined precision. Instead of each ship firing independently, they coordinated their attacks, focusing on one Vanthi ship at a time. Railguns launched projectiles at speeds that made them nearly impossible to track visually. The lead Vanthi ship's shields flared brightly under the barrage. They held, but the ship was forced to adjust its position. "They didn't expect that," Eliza said with grim satisfaction. "Major Carson," Admiral Donovan called to the Marine commander standing ready at the back of the bridge. "Prepare your boarding. Teams just in case." Major Olivia Carson nodded sharply. "Yes, sir, my Marines are ready." The space around the station became a chaotic dance of ships and energy weapons. The human fleet moved in formations never before seen in galactic warfare. While individually less advanced, together they created patterns that confused the targeting systems of the Vanthi vessels. On the Defiant, Captain Martinez activated the experimental shield technology just as a powerful beam struck her ship. The shield absorbed the hit but flickered dangerously. "Shield at 40% after just one hit," she reported. "But it worked." Ambassador Hale's voice cut through the battle chatter. "Admiral, the Council is demanding an immediate ceasefire. Other races' ships are moving to create a buffer zone." True to his words, vessels from several neutral species were positioning themselves between the human and Vanthi fleets. The fighting ground to a halt as neither side wanted to risk hitting an uninvolved party. "This isn't over," Zarkesh transmitted, before cutting communication. As tensions eased slightly, Ambassador Hale's assistant Ryan Kelly rushed onto the bridge. He was a younger diplomat with bright eyes and boundless energy. "Ambassador Admiral, I found something in the station's legal archives," he said, out of breath. "There's an ancient protocol stating that any civilization capable of reaching the diplomatic hub has the inherent right to representation. They've been violating their own laws by excluding humanity." Ambassador Hale's eyes widened. "Are you certain?" "Absolutely. It's one of their founding principles, never officially revoked." The ambassador turned to Admiral Donovan. "This gives us leverage. They can't deny us a seat at the table without undermining the very foundation of their council." After the battle, the human fleet regrouped. Despite being attacked with advanced weapons, they had held their ground. Only one ship had suffered serious damage, and even it remained operational. Eliza joined Admiral Donovan as he addressed the fleet captains via video link. "Today, we showed them something they didn't expect," he said proudly. "We showed them human resilience and adaptability. They thought their superior technology would quickly overwhelm us. Instead, they learned that humanity doesn't follow their predictable patterns of warfare." Chief Engineer Garcia spoke up from his position on the Valkyrie. "Sir, I've analyzed data from the Vanthi weapons. We can modify our shields to better withstand their energy weapons if they attack again." "Good work, Chief." The Admiral turned to Ambassador Hale. "What's happening with the Council?" "They've called an emergency session for tomorrow. With Kelly's discovery about our legal right to be here, we have a stronger position." Hale looked troubled. "But the Vanthi won't give up so easily. This battle may have ended, but the war for humanity's place in the galaxy is just beginning." Eliza looked out at the stars and the alien ships that surrounded them. For centuries, humanity had looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone. Now they knew the truth. They had never been alone, just kept in the dark. But humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, and there would be no going back to the shadows. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with voices speaking dozens of languages. Representatives from more than 50 civilizations filled the room, their attention focused on the raised platform where the 7 council members sat. Ambassador Hale stood before them, flanked by Commander Warren and Lieutenant Commander Miller. Counselor Trellix raised his translucent hands for silence. The chamber gradually quieted. "This emergency session will now begin," he announced. "We face an unprecedented situation. For the first time in Council history, a quarantined species has discovered this station and now claims the right to representation." Zarkesh stood from his position among the Vanthi delegation. "There should be no debate. Humans were placed under quarantine protocol for good reason. Their unexpected arrival changes nothing." Ryan Kelly, who stood slightly behind Ambassador Hale, passed him a data tablet. Hale studied it briefly, then addressed the council. "With respect, according to your own founding charter, any species capable of reaching this station without assistance has the inherent right to representation. This principle predates any quarantine protocol and has never been officially revoked." Murmurs spread through the chamber. One of the council members, a being that appeared to be made of shifting crystal formations, leaned forward. "The human is correct," the crystalline counselor said. "The right of arrival is indeed one of our most ancient principles." Zarkesh's scales darkened with anger. "The humans didn't find this station through their own merit. It was an accident. They stumbled upon it during a military patrol. This only proves their dangerous unpredictability." Before Hale could respond, the chamber doors opened. A human woman entered, followed by a tall, thin alien. The woman wore the uniform of an intelligence officer with the name Foster on her badge. The alien had gray skin and enormous eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. "Forgive the interruption," Lieutenant Sarah Foster called out, her voice carrying across the chamber. "But I believe the council should hear this evidence before making any decision." Counselor Trellix hesitated, then nodded. "Proceed." Foster stepped forward. "This is Dr. Zorel of the Avani Science Academy. He has been studying Earth and humanity in secret for decades against council orders." The gray alien bowed slightly. "What Lieutenant Foster says is true. I was fascinated by humans and continued my research even after the quarantine was imposed. What I discovered contradicts many of the assumptions upon which the quarantine was based." Dr. Zorel activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. It showed Earth from orbit, then zoomed in to show human cities, technology, and daily life. "Humanity was judged dangerous because of their capacity for violence," Dr. Zorel explained. "But what the council failed to appreciate was their even greater capacity for cooperation, innovation, and self-correction." Images flickered showing humans working together after disasters, building massive projects and creating art. Their adaptability is not a threat but a strength that could benefit the entire galactic community. Zarkesh snorted dismissively. "Pretty images prove nothing. Their history is filled with war and destruction. As is the history of every spacefaring race," Ambassador Hale countered, "including the Vanthi." From the back of the human delegation, Dr. Eric Davidson stepped forward. He was an older man with a beard and tired eyes, a historian who specialized in ancient human warfare. "May I speak?" he asked. When Trellix nodded, Davidson continued. "It's true that human history contains much violence, but what makes us unique is not our capacity for war but how we learn from it." He gestured to the human delegation. "Look at us. Our fleet includes people whose ancestors fought against each other just a few generations ago. We turned enemies into allies, competitors, into partners. That adaptability is what brought us to the stars." The council chamber fell silent as everyone considered his words. Then a new voice spoke from the entrance. "The human speaks wisdom we would be foolish to ignore." All eyes turned to see a new figure enter. This alien was tall and willowy, with skin that seemed to shimmer with a soft blue light. The other aliens in the chamber immediately showed signs of respect or awe. Counselor Trellix rose from his seat. "Jurlak of the Precursors, we are honored by your presence." Commander Warren leaned close to Miller. "Who are the Precursors?" she whispered. According to what I've found in the station's archives, they're one of the oldest species in the galaxy, Miller replied quietly. They rarely attend council meetings. Sherlock moved with fluid grace to the center of the chamber. I have observed the recent events with great interest. The arrival of humans at this station was not the accident many believe it to be. This statement caused an uproar in the chamber. Councillor Trellix had to call repeatedly for order. What do you mean, not an accident? Zarkesh demanded. Once the noise subsided, Sherlock turned his luminous eyes toward the Vanthi representative. The precursors have long monitored the development of younger races. We knew of humanity's potential centuries before this council formed. Their arrival now is timely. Timely for what? Asked Ambassador Hale. For the coming storm, Sherlock said simply. The harvesters stir at the edge of the galaxy. Their hibernation cycle nears its end. Fear swept through the chamber. Many representatives began talking at once, some rising from their seats in alarm. The harvesters are just a legend, Zarkesh insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. They are very real, Sherlock replied. And they will return within a decade. When they do, this galaxy will need every advantage to survive, including humanity's unique approach to warfare and problem-solving. As the implications of this revelation sank in, a message came through to Commander Warren's communicator. Her eyes widened as she read it. Admiral, she said, connecting to Donovan on the Valkyrie. Earth has responded to our situation. The Grand Fleet has been mobilized. Admiral Michelle Wright is leading them here personally. Admiral Donovan's voice came through clearly. How many ships? 50, sir, including the new Excalibur-class battleships. The news spread quickly through the human delegation. Ambassador Hale turned back to the council. His position suddenly strengthened. It seems the question is no longer whether humanity will join this galactic community, but how we will work together in the face of this common threat. Councillor Trellix conferred briefly with the other council members before speaking. In light of this information, and in accordance with the right of arrival, the quarantine on humanity is hereby lifted. Earth will be granted full membership in the Galactic Council. Cheers erupted from several delegations, while others remained silent. The Vanthi delegation, led by Zarkesh, looked distinctly unhappy. As the session ended, Sherlock approached Ambassador Hale and Commander Warren privately. There is much you don't yet know, the ancient alien said softly. But you will learn quickly. You must. The galaxy has grown complacent during the long peace. Many have forgotten how to fight, how to adapt. But humans haven't, Eliza said with certainty. No, Sherlock agreed. You have not. That is why, though no one planned for your arrival here, it may prove to be the salvation of us all. 1 week after the Galactic Council's decision, Nexus Point Alpha had transformed. What was once a quiet diplomatic hub now buzzed with activity as ships from across the galaxy arrived daily. At the center of this activity was the human fleet, now expanded to 65 warships with the arrival of Earth's Grand Fleet. Commander Eliza Warren stood beside Admiral Frank Donovan on the observation deck of the UES Valkyrie, watching as the newest Earth vessel, the UES Excalibur, moved into position. Its sleek angular design contrasted with the more organic shapes of many alien ships. Impressive, isn't she? Said Admiral Michelle Wright as she joined them. Wright was a tall woman with short gray hair and the confident bearing of someone who had earned her position through merit rather than politics. The Excalibur represents our newest technology, Wright continued. We incorporated everything we learned from our limited alien encounters over the past decade. Admiral Donovan nodded. She'll be a fine flagship for what's coming. The door slid open, and Ambassador Hale entered with President Laura Chen. The president had arrived just yesterday on a fast diplomatic vessel, the first Earth leader to set foot on the station. Admiral Donovan, Commander Warren, President Chen greeted them. I've just finished meeting with the Council. They've agreed to our proposal for a joint defense initiative against the Harvester threat. Ambassador Hale looked pleased. It wasn't easy. Some species still don't trust us, particularly the Vanthi. but the evidence presented by the precursors was too compelling to ignore. "What's our role in this initiative?" Eliza asked. "That's where it gets interesting," President Chen replied. "Despite being newcomers, we've been asked to take a leadership position in planning the defense strategy." Admiral Wright smiled. "They've realized something important about humans. We never forgot how to fight. Many of these civilizations have been at peace for so long that warfare has become almost theoretical to them." The group moved to a large holographic display showing the entire galaxy. Red markers indicated the last known locations of harvester activity from centuries ago. According to the precursors, the harvesters are a machine intelligence that emerges every few thousand years, Admiral Donovan explained. They harvest resources and technology from advanced civilizations, then return to dormancy. The last time they appeared, the galaxy was less developed, added Ambassador Hale. Still, nearly a third of all spacefaring civilizations were wiped out before the harvesters were driven back. Commander Warren studied the display. "And now they're coming back, but no one remembers how to fight them effectively." "Exactly," said President Chen, "which is why our experience, though limited compared to these ancient races, is suddenly valuable." A chime announced another arrival. Commander Daniel Scott entered, wearing the uniform of the UES Excalibur. He was younger than most captains, with keen eyes that missed nothing. "Reporting as ordered, Admiral," he said. Admiral Wright nodded. "Commander Scott will lead a special task force incorporating ships from multiple species. Their mission is to develop new tactics against the harvester threat." "I've been studying the limited records of the last harvester incursion," Scott explained. "They rely on predictable tactics, treating warfare like a mathematical equation. But that's not how humans fight. We're unpredictable," Eliza said, understanding dawning. "The very quality that made them quarantine us." "Precisely," agreed Admiral Donovan. "Our evolutionary instability, as they called it, may be our greatest strength against an enemy that expects logical, predictable responses." The door opened again, and Zurlak of the precursors entered with Zarkesh of the Vanthi. The two made an odd pair, one serene and ancient, the other still visibly uncomfortable with human presence. "The combined fleet commanders are assembling," Zurlak announced. "It is time to begin planning in earnest." Zarkesh looked at the humans with reluctant respect. "My government has authorized me to share our weapons technology with Earth forces. We may have misjudged your species." Admiral Wright smiled. "That's very generous, Representative Zarkesh." "It is not generosity," the Vanthi replied bluntly. "It is survival. The harvesters care nothing for our differences. They will consume us all equally if we fail." The group made their way to the station's largest chamber, now converted into a war room. Representatives from 30 different species stood around a massive tactical display. Some species that had been hostile to humans just days ago now looked to them with hope. Admiral Donovan took his place at the central planning table. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. The first principle of human warfare that we'll be applying is asymmetric response. The harvesters expect logic, we'll give them chaos." For the next several hours, the admirals and commanders detailed strategies that made many alien military leaders uncomfortable. Humans didn't fight to minimize casualties or preserve resources. They fought to win, using every advantage they could create. "Your strategies rely heavily on individual initiative," one four-armed alien commented. "What if communications are disrupted?" "Then each commander makes their own decisions based on the overall objective," Commander Scott explained. "Rigidity in command structure is a weakness the enemy can exploit." As the meeting concluded, Eliza found herself standing next to Zurlak, watching the various species interacting, sharing ideas that would have been unthinkable just weeks ago. "You knew this would happen," she said to the ancient being. "That's why you supported us from the beginning." Zurlak's luminous eyes regarded her thoughtfully. "The precursors have watched your species for a very long time, Commander Warren. We saw what the Council did not, that your very unpredictability makes you valuable. The galaxy has been stable for too long. It has forgotten how to adapt. And humans never stop adapting," Eliza said. Never, agreed Gerlach. It is your greatest gift and the galaxy's best hope. Later that evening, Admiral Donovan stood with Commander Warren on the Valkyrie's bridge, looking out at the combined fleet that now surrounded the station. Hundreds of ships from dozens of worlds, preparing for a war unlike any the galaxy had seen in millennia. Did you ever imagine when we stumbled upon this place that we'd end up here? Eliza asked her commander. Admiral Donovan smiled slightly. Leading a galactic defense force? Can't say that was in my mission briefing. It's strange to think that they feared us for the very qualities they now depend on, she said. That's often how it works, the Admiral replied. What makes a species dangerous can also make them essential allies when the situation changes. On the main screen, they could see Earth's newest ship, the Excalibur, moving into position at the head of a formation that included vessels from 10 different worlds. Its human design stood out among the alien ships, a symbol of humanity's unexpected rise. No one was meant to arrive, Admiral Donovan said, echoing the original quarantine protocol. Then humanity's combat fleet took the stage. Eliza nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and responsibility. And now the real challenge begins. Indeed, the Admiral agreed. But if there's one thing I know about humans, it's that we perform best when the odds are against us. As if to emphasize his point, a new alert came through. Long-range sensors had detected unusual activity at the edge of the galaxy, the first signs of the awakening harvesters. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage just in time. Now they would prove why that arrival, accidental or not, might save everyone.